Hey everyone, it's Cosmo, and welcome to a bit of a different video. I feel like I say that a lot when it comes to my content, but this one really is different in that I'm recording the commentary after I've already recorded the footage. So this game is Kwaidan Azuma Manor Story. It's a point-and-click survival horror game that I've talked about. I've done a full review on it before. You can watch that video if you want to hear my full thoughts on it. But the reason why I decided to replay this game is because there's a challenge in this game where you have to complete it both without saving and without taking damage. I've come back to this game a few times just to give the challenge a chance, because I really did want to complete this challenge. I'm not going to spoil whether or not I did complete it in this video. I guess you could skip to the end if you really want to. But yeah, the point is I really wanted to complete this challenge, and lately I've just been replaying this game a ton, and I mean just putting in hours on top of hours just to complete this challenge. I've already learned it in and out as I played it before and made that video for it, but I've learned even more quirks about the game that I'll probably get to as I continue talking. But you know, there okay, I don't want to spoil the end, but there is something I want to get to towards the end of the video. This is going to be a bit more indulgent than most of my videos because I know a lot of you probably don't care about this game. You probably don't care about the journey that I've been on to do this challenge or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It just made me realize a couple of things that I want to talk about. The first thing I can get to is this game is bullshit. It was made by one guy, so I don't want to harp on it too much. But you know, there's a lot to this game. There's a lot of quirks and whatnot that I don't know. It just, you look at it and you go, I don't think it's supposed to work like that. Even for the fact that this game was made by one guy, like as impressive as that is, you know, that doesn't excuse a lot of the game's flaws. Not in my opinion, at least. But so here, the beginning of this game is super easy. It's not very difficult at all. I've gotten it down pretty consistently. There's a lot of ways to tackle this early part of the stage. When I stopped to watch that boulder roll past, I could have paused a bit earlier up the path so I wouldn't have had to stop so much. But I just decided to kind of play it safe here. I do get reckless a bit more in this run, but a bit more reckless, a bit riskier. But for the most part, yeah, I just stuck with my tried and true safe methods. There's also the fact that I should mention this game comes with two modes. There's a classic mode to it, and then there's a modern mode to it. You saw that at the beginning of the video. The classic mode has kind of muddier, rougher textures, and it also uses traditional tank controls. In the modern mode that I'm playing on, it specifically uses like 3D analog controls, so you can move in any direction. I believe if you're gonna do this challenge, then that's the best way to do it, because it's easier to dodge enemies and whatnot with these kinds of controls over the traditional tank controls. The tank controls do have their own positives and benefits, but for this type of run that I'm going for, not really. The modern mode also has like this soul shaded look that I think is alright, but I kind of prefer the classic look more. But it's not terrible. One other thing that I should mention is this game doesn't have the best controls. I don't know if you saw it earlier, but we can guard against any attack in this game by pressing down on the D-pad, which I find to be a very unconventional button to put the to bind the guard to. But I mean, it works. It's just, you know, uncomfortable having to move your thumb from the analog stick or the A button on your Xbox controller to down on the D-pad. Also, yeah, I forgot to mention, if you play in modern mode, you have to use a controller. You can't play this game with a keyboard and mouse in the modern mode. But for the most part, I have gotten like this beginning game I've gotten it down pretty consistently. You're gonna see me position my cursor to where I know I'm gonna have to click and whatnot. You're gonna see me dodge enemies that I know are incoming. I'm also gonna be on the lookout for there's like these enemies that are eyeballs, but they're clinging onto the wall. Those are tricky, and those are probably the biggest run killers for me. Either those guys or the dudes who hang out in the dirt and throw stuff at you. And they're tricky for a very specific reason that I'll be able to show off better when we see another one of them. But basically, they can only attack you when they're on screen. But there are two catches to that. If they initiate their attack and you go off screen, they can still attack you, so you have to be on the lookout for that. Also, they can be on screen, but you don't have to see them. That one's kind of harder to explain, but basically if their vision is obscured by something, but they're still like part of the screen, then you still have to be on the watch out for them, because they can end your run like that. That's how I've had many of my runs end. I've had a run in damn near every room in this manner, every screen in this entire game. I've had a run in somewhere. That's just how much time I've put into this challenge. And the story is, I guess I can talk about the story. The story of the game is basically that we're a Hososhi, which is a yokai killer hunter or whatever. It's our job to basically purge this manor of all these evil spirits. Those are the walleye things I was talking about, by the way. It's basically our job to get rid of all the evil in this manor and also turn our mentor back into a human or whatever. You might have saw that little frog thing clinging to our shoulder. That was actually our mentor, who we played as at the very beginning of the game and fought that giant snake dragon thingy, whatever it was. But right now, I'm just trying to bring some supplies to this woman who's been injured. The thing about this game is, I kind of go brain off autopilot in this beginning section, because it's just so repetitive. It's honestly kind of demotivating to play the beginning of this game over and over and over and over and over again. But I think the challenge is, actually, I don't know if the challenge is worth it. That's kind of what I wanted to get to towards the end of the video, but yeah, I'll stop talking about that for now. Also, something else I forgot to mention, I'm battling stick drift with this game. The controller that I use, it has stick drift, so that's why sometimes you'll see me move one direction but want to go the other, or hesitate or something. These are the walleye things. Whenever you see the eye open, just press guard, because you don't want to be caught in a bad situation where one enemy is chasing you but you don't notice the eye opening, so just keep your eye on it. Always press guard whenever you see it open and you'll be alright. I believe we're also coming up on our first boss fight here. The bosses in this game, they're really not terrible. I don't mind them so much. They all have some method of cheesing. Or I don't even think cheesing, just some intended method that you're supposed to use to take care of them pretty consistently. And the good news is, the guy we're about to fight, he has a very easy method to defeat him. It's going to require upgrading, which is what we're about to do right now. And it's also where those wooden memos that I have in my inventory, that's where they come in useful. You bring them to this shrine over here, and you can upgrade the weapon in your inventory. We have 3 weapons: this Naginata, that Magatama, which does splash damage on the ground, and like a holy shining mirror, which attacks flying enemies. So we're gonna have to use this Magatama to attack this bull spider thing yokai. You'll see it in a second. Also, something else that's really cool about this game, I've talked about this in my review video of this game. Those wooden memo things are actually what you use to save. They're what you use to save your progress in this game. But the game gives you a choice to sacrifice them in order to upgrade your arsenal. Now, I think one of the bigger problems with the game is it's kind of too liberal with the amount of items that you give you. You're not going to see me pick up any more memos, and you're not going to see me pick up any healing items. But just know that this map has healing items and those wooden memos to save your progress all over it. Also, I didn't show it off earlier, I didn't talk about it, but this clock right here, this is part of a puzzle that we're gonna have to complete later, but I can set the earlier parts of it up now, so that's what I do with those clocks. We'll finish that in just a second. Also, yeah, this is what I was talking about. That tea set on that little table there, you can heal by drinking that tea, but we're not gonna bother with it because the plan with this run is to not take any damage at all, so. Also, yeah, these walleye things, you have to be really careful with them. You can kind of, like, you can kind of, like, get some iframes when you attack, so you don't have to worry about them so much when you throw the Magatama on the ground. Like, it should have damaged me when it attacked me, but because you don't take damage when you attack, you're kind of fine. But it's not consistent, really, so just like always attacking enemies isn't something you can rely on to ignore the damage or whatever. Also, we're making pretty good progress here. This isn't really a speed run, although I feel like I've played through this game so much that I could probably do a pretty good speed run of it. But yeah, we're making pretty good progress. I know the ideal routes and stuff. I take the quick path here. I can just go directly to the downstairs path. If I wanted to be safe, I could have gone through the dining room and then through the kitchen and then down those stairs, but I decided to take this path just because, I don't know, I didn't want to waste too much time. Also, I'm being careful here just because I don't like these walleye things. I really don't. They've ended so many of my runs. I'm always cautious around them. Also, we're gonna come up on the end of the clock puzzles here. We have to change the time on 3 of the clocks. We already changed the time on 2. Also, this safe here. Yeah, this is where the stick drift can be an issue for me. You can see it's kind of changing my inputs there, but I can handle it mostly fine. You can also use the WAS keys to handle that, but I'm just too lazy to reach my hand at the keyboard. Also, just smash here, turn the time to 350, so you can finish the final puzzle. And I think we're already just about, I want to say halfway through the game once you get the first person view. Also, yeah, that's really stupid. Another thing I complained about in my video of Kwaidan, the first person view is it's an upgrade that you get only after reading that journal. I don't think it's the best upgrade in the world, because it's just using your eyes. I know she has the mask on and everything, but it's not a problem for her any other time to see, so I don't know. I think it's one of the sillier upgrades to lock behind something. But as soon as we use this silver key, or as soon as we leave the room where we're gonna use this silver key, we're gonna come up on the second boss fight. I'm just being cautious here again. You can hear the enemies, so I'm not too worried about these guys when they come around. But the walleyes, you can't really hear them when they open their eye or anything, so you have to be careful. I take a specific route here because I've had, well, you can see it. The enemy spawns are kind of random out here, so you have to be careful. This is mostly a thing where you play it by ear and just see what to do best. But yeah, sometimes I'll go around that path that way. Sometimes I'll go around. There's like a second path that you'll see in a second in the boss fight that I'll go around. Also, here's where we get introduced to, well, actually, no, we saw one of these guys earlier, but here's where we actually fight these guys. That little guy in the brown outfit or whatever, he doesn't, you don't stun him when you attack him, so you have to be really careful with how you fight him. You have to guard after every hit, because he will just attack you as soon as he can again. Thankfully, you can like buffer your guard, so you don't have to worry about, you know, them cheesing you or anything too much. It's mostly it's completely your fault if you take damage to those guys. But they're still a nuisance. You have to be careful around them. And here's our second boss fight. This Kappa thing. Suiko. This boss fight really isn't, I think this one is even easier than the other one. You just have to be mindful of that attack right there, that swing attack. You can't guard against that, so you have to run away from it. You can guard against it, but it does like 2 waves of damage, so even if you do successfully guard, it'll still damage you, so it's just run away if you see him do that one. Also, yeah, that's his other attack, the one where he only comes out of the water a little bit and spits at you, so you have to hit him with the Magatama. It's really not a tough fight at all, though. You can actually run back in and get 4 attacks on him like that if you know what you're doing. It's not hard to keep up with him. The camera will move to where he's swimming, so it's not like you have to. Sometimes you can wait him out if you don't like the position he's in. Like right here, I think he goes to the other side of the lake. Oh no, never mind. That wasn't too far. I caught up with him. But yeah, sometimes if you don't like the position, you can just wait him out and he'll swim back over to where you are, maybe. And I think we got mostly good RNG here because the position he swims to is random. So, you know, he can just swim to the same spot over and over and over if you're lucky. But we didn't get the worst RNG there, so I'm not complaining. Also, the game gives you a brief moment of respite after each of those boss fights. They just don't spawn any enemies until you get on the next screen like this. So you can just dick around if you want, if you want to take a breather. And that's another thing about this game. You can't pause this game, not traditionally at least. You have to... There's no pause function at all, besides like when you interact with stuff with your mouse cursor. That'll freeze all the enemies and whatnot. But if you want to pause the game to check the settings or even just exit the game, you can't do that. It doesn't exist. It's, like I said, I know it's a game made by one person, so I will cut it some slack. But yeah, it just, you know, that's one of those things where you think like that'd be one of the essentials. But no, this game is really solid. I don't want to make it sound like I don't like this game. If I didn't like this game, I wouldn't have put as many hours into it as I did. And I do recommend this game to everyone if it seems even remotely up your alley. I got it for... I bought this game twice. Once on the Switch and once on Steam. I think on Switch I got it for $1 or $2 or something that cheap. On Steam I got it for $15, which... that does feel just a bit steep. Not really, I don't know. Just for like the casual person, that might be a bit steep, but for me, in the amount of time that I've put into this game, no, I think it's well worth the asking price. $15. And I don't like regret my purchase or anything. But that, you know, it's just, if you want to check the game out yourself, that's what you'll have to pay for it. But then again, I think it does go on sale often. I don't know, I'm kind of rambling. So we're getting around to the part where my runs start to die off more often. We're coming up on what's easily my biggest run killer. We aren't there yet, but you'll see it in a moment. Also, I have to be super careful here. You can see that eye open. I'm being cautious of it. Here you have to be careful because I didn't talk about this. You can despawn enemies in this game. You saw me do it earlier when I was outside the manor. I was going back and forth between screens to get rid of an enemy who could just be a nuisance. I think I do it quite a bit here. There's that eye wall and that little brown guy which really irritate me, both of them. So I just want to deal with one of them or neither of them. I don't want to deal with both. So I think I go back and forth quite a lot here just because I don't want both of them to spawn. I can deal with one, but not both. I guess while I have this downtime, I'll also say I kind of streamed some of these runs on my second YouTube channel, Chimp Chump. I didn't complete the run on there, but I've been trying to stream more on my second channel. I kind of prefer YouTube streaming to Twitch just because I already have everything over here. And yeah, if you guys ever want to see me play games or whatever in the future, you can just come over, check out my stream. I did a stream the other day where I looked at an old copy of a Shonen Jump. I did another stream where I played through some Nintendo 64 games with my friend. Also did a stream where I played through all of Resident Evil 7 just because Requiem is coming out. And I wanted to kind of go back to the game that introduced what I consider the new era of Resident Evil. 7 still holds up in my opinion. It's a great game. I love it. But anyways, we're coming up on the final chapter of the game here. We're not quite there yet, but once we get into that room, we will be. That's where most of my runs die. I really hate going in there because it just means trouble most of the time. But you know, through playing this game so much, I have gotten parts of it down just to like a muscle memory. I think that's the last time we'll have to use first person during the run. So we take the key, we run back to the room that we unlocked earlier with the clocks and stuff, and we come into this area. I don't want to get too ahead of it, but we come into this area that's just RNG hell. Like, you just have to pray everything works out in your favor here. The problem with this area is, number one, enemy spawns. It's all RNG, it's all random. They aren't consistent. Sometimes you'll get those little hopping parasol things that aren't the biggest bother in the world. Sometimes you'll get those little brown guys who you can't hit stun or whatever. Also, the walleyes you have to be on the lookout for, so yeah, just take extra caution around them. I saw it open right there. It was off screen, but it still attacked me because it already initiated the attack. Still have to be careful here. We're gonna try to take care of this little guy here and run through this cave. Also, maybe I'll be able to show it off here. I don't remember if I got... Okay, no, I didn't get it in this run. But basically, an enemy can spawn on that wall on the left there, and it's still on screen when you come around, but you don't necessarily see it because it's hidden from view, so it can attack you. That's one of the few instances in this game where an enemy that you can't see directly can attack you. And yeah, I've lost a lot of runs just coming down that little ramp right there because of that enemy in particular. But we didn't see him, so we don't have anything to worry about. Also, there's an old guy on the floor over there. We have to escort him. And this is where 99% of my runs died. I could make it through the rest of this game pretty easily, but it's this old guy right here who ruins everything for me. And you'll see why. The problem with escorting is you can't guard, you can't attack, you can't even run, so you just have to slowly walk past all the enemies who come at you. You have to dodge this boulder, which you'll see on the left in just a second. I'm actually circling where it's going to be with my mouse cursor. And you can kind of see it there, not clearly, but it was there. It went into the water. Yeah, you just have to be really careful with this part of the game. You have to take a specific route. You can kind of just call an audible if you see fit, but I have a method for getting past this area that it doesn't always feel consistent, but it works for me. And like I said, this is where most of my runs go to die. But we're gonna make it past on this attempt. I'll say that much. You don't have to worry like I do whenever I play through this game. But it's still gonna be tense, even knowing that I completed this without taking damage. You can see the boulder still comes up pretty close to us, and there's going to be more instances of that. So you hug this wall over here, and then you go to the left, buy yourself a little time, because this guy is going to spawn behind you, and he's going to be hot on your ass, so you have to keep moving. Now you can't stop to buy yourself some time, you have to go. and you just hug the wall very carefully and narrowly dodge that boulder. There's gonna be one more that we have to worry about right there, but that one isn't as close, so it's fine. And from here, you know, it's easy going. You can't really take damage. But that little path right there in the cave, that's what ended like a majority of my runs. Man, it drains the energy right out of you when you play, like, how far are we into this? 30 minutes into a run, and that's what happens to you. You just take damage to that boulder, or you accidentally get hit by that little guy behind you. It's very not fun to deal with. But you can see I'm kind of happy I'm just moving my cursor around. Because I don't get through that, I don't always get through that section of the game. But we're gonna skip these cutscenes and go back to that cavern. Because now we're really getting to the final chapter of the... I didn't mean to interact with Haruka, by the way. If you do, that's what happens. The control screen will come up, and I didn't really want to do that, but whatever. We're going back into the caves. There's not really much to talk about here, because I've already said what to be cautious of in these caves. So I'll also say, this video in particular, it's kind of like a... Well, I do this thing in my videos where I talk about games that I want to return to. In my Rent a Hero #1 video, I talked about how that game is a sequel to a Genesis game just titled Rent a Hero. And I promise to return to that game in the future as well. I will one day eventually. Just like in my 24 Killers video, I promise to return to that game once I finished that game entirely. Because to see everything in it, you need to complete all 24 save files. It's a weird thing. If you want to hear more about it, just go watch that video, I guess. But yeah, if you want to complete that game, you need to play it a bunch. And I've slowly been chipping away at that. But, Kwaidan in particular, this game, I also talked about this challenge and how I wanted to complete it, but I just wasn't able to. So that's kind of why this video exists. I finally came back to it for like good, and you know, in an attempt to just complete it, just to see everything this game has to offer. And there is something waiting for you at the end of this game. I know there is, because once you finish a run of Kwaidan, they say at the end of the game that there will be a modest image or something like that for you to look forward to. And yeah, part of me just wants to see what that image is. That's why I've been coming back to this challenge. But also just because I've put so much time into this game that, I don't know, I feel like it's the last thing for me to do. I feel like I've mastered so much of it already. Why not just try to complete this challenge? But anyways, we're back in these caves. You're gonna see me in a weird situation in a second where I get stuck. I basically have to time my attack correctly. I actually might just speed it up here because it's a lot of just guarding. It's a very bad position to be in, but hold on a second. Okay, there we go. Took care of that guy. I'm trying to be careful here because there's one of those mud-slinging things on my left that I want to be cautious of. But we're about to... This game kind of has like a boss rush section that we're at right now. We get to rematch all the earlier bosses, but now things are more difficult. The arena is smaller, he takes more damage, and we have to be cautious of these enemies on the outside who can still hit us from out of bounds. But thankfully that means we can also hit them, which we need to do right now because I'm out of mana, and I need mana to kill this guy, so we'll wait for enemies to spawn and then we'll attack them when we hear them or see them. It's still not a terribly difficult boss fight, but because the arena is smaller and he requires more damage, it just requires a bit more of your attention. But we get enough mana to finally take care of this guy, and there we go. Like I said, not the toughest boss in the world. This next one that we're gonna come up on in a second though, that one we have to be pretty cautious. This part scared me because I didn't see that eye until the last second, and I thought I was gonna lose the run right there. But thankfully we dodge it, and we can see. I'm kind of like, my brain is cooked here. I don't realize that I'm interacting with something, but I can't activate it fully because I'm not close to it. So my focus was kind of all over the place here. I'm like doing circles and stuff just to get myself psyched up. But we're about to, as we're in the final chapter, we're about to come up on the final part of the game here. But before we reach the final boss, there's one more boss that we have to take care of. It's the Kappa thing again, and you'll see it in just a second. But I have to be mindful of all these enemies. And you can see there, the walleye thing is behind us, along with one of those mud-slinging guys. But again, because they're not on camera, they won't attack us. So that's like one saving grace that we have. I try to take care of these guys pretty quickly, by the way, because I'm pretty sure the enemies who are behind me, they don't like despawn, so I try not to linger for too long. And after we open this, we'll have our next boss fight. I guess I can talk about it now. So, this boss fight, it's cheap, it's not fun. Do you remember earlier when I said there's one other part of this game where the enemies can attack you when they're not on screen? Well, this is where that applies. I'm not a fan of this part of the game. And we're making good progress here. We're taking care of this guy. But once you reach his second half, you'll have to come to this side of the lake or pond. But because I don't realize there's another enemy over there in the ground, he hits me, and so I lose the run. So yeah, I'm sorry to spoil it, but I didn't complete this run. I didn't know he was gonna be over there. He ended my run. I was just, as soon as I got hit by that guy, I was out of it. I didn't even bother guarding that much anymore. I was demotivated. I just I let the enemy kill me. I'm not gonna show the entire rest of the run here. I'm actually gonna show a segmented part of the run. I'm actually gonna show how the boss fight is supposed to go without taking damage. So I guess that means I still haven't completed this challenge without saving or without taking damage. And I didn't really want to upload this video until I completely finished this challenge. But after I just lost that run that you just saw, I just felt completely demotivated. I didn't want to go on anymore. I already wasted so much time on this challenge, and I didn't want to waste any more. I needed to get back to my regular life. I need to get back to making regular videos, like my bully one that's coming out soon. So from here on out, I'm just gonna do a segmented run. You're gonna see the rest of the game without taking damage, although it wasn't done in the same run. I just wanted to show off, you know, this is how the game would look if you beat it without taking any damage. I haven't done it myself. I don't think, I don't know. Maybe I will come back to this challenge one day. I'm still not committed to it yet. But as of right now, I'm putting this challenge on the back burner again, because I did delay this challenge before, but I'm doing it yet again. It's just, after putting so much time into it, it's very defeating. As of right now, I think, I don't know, it's time to call it quits on this challenge. It's just, I guess just because I've put so much time into it already that I don't want it to all be for nothing, so that's why this video even exists. But there's not much else for me to say. Now, I won't show the entire run. I actually will skip ahead a little bit to the next boss fight. But yeah. As fun as most of this challenge was, because I got to learn a game inside and out, I got to learn how enemies work, I got to learn patterns and whatnot, I just don't think I have it in me to attempt anything like this ever again. Like I said, I still haven't committed to whether or not I will return to this challenge in the future, but I guess I'll let the rest of this boss fight play out. We're coming up on the end here, because when he does that attack where he appears from the bottom of the cave, that's an insta-kill that will turn you into a frog like your master. But as long as you aren't looking at him when he does it, then you'll be fine. It's nothing to worry about. And that's gonna be the boss. That would be the game, except for one other little section here where we have to run out of the caverns. We're gonna pop out actually where the bridge collapsed earlier, and everything's gonna be sunny. We get a happy ending. But after this, that will be the run. There you go. The game's over. You can't die anymore. Can't take damage anymore. Can't save anymore. That's the end of the game. You get to see the final cutscene, which is pretty cool. After, you know, having spent the entire night in that manner, you're gonna see everyone reunite. You're gonna see your mentor come back to his human form. And that will be Kwaidan. Like I said, I do intend to do more of these videos where I return to games that I've talked about in the past. But as for challenges like this, I think we can call it a wrap. If a game ever has a bullshit challenge for me to complete in the future, I'm sorry to say, but I probably won't get around to completing it. And I'm gonna go eat something now. Goodbye.